It all begins in the year 2075 in the old district of Tokyo. There we meet Ito Kiryu, who works as a mere lowest-ranked supplier for the magical army. The protagonist regrets that at 35 years old he still does this boring job, remembering his past. 40 years ago, the world was on the verge of being completely destroyed because of mysterious beasts. No one knows if it was due to climate change or a war, but the monsters invaded everything. These dreadful creatures came from deep underground, attacking humanity without any mercy. With that, the resistance used all its military strength to try and fight back against the terrible invasion. The brave soldiers fired thousands of bullets non-stop at the cruel intruders. But the enemies had shield abilities that made modern weapons completely useless. And right when people were about to lose hope and give up for good, a few individuals appeared out of nowhere to save the day, attacking the beasts with great force. They were the so-called mages, who used powers sealed since ancient times alongside pure swordplay. The salvation of our planet did not come from science, let alone from technological tools. Those fearless warriors became the true heroes, firing beams against evil. Because of this, to continue the fight against the creatures, the training of new students had to be created. This new teaching system soon began to spread across the globe with intense training. And thanks to this newly trained elite, our world finally recovered its long-desired peace. However, the result of all this social change ended up generating something no one imagined. What was left in this new society was an immense and very unfair division, creating an extreme and mean elitism, or those who had no gift were barely even considered human. Here we see the grand futuristic facility of the Talent Academy on a very sunny day. The young man keeps carrying his heavy boxes, while two jerks mockingly laugh at him. The bullies yell at the worker, walking toward him with bad intentions. One of them kicks the packages violently, ordering the poor guy to hand over all the energy potions. The attacker calls his target talentless trash, while the victim coughs heavily on the asphalt. Ito begs them to return the future supplies, but the bully tells the weak man to shut his mouth. In this gigantic school, the student's level is the most important thing there is, determining their lives. Everything is always evaluated based on their skill with the blade during combat. The control and strength of each student's mystical power also carry a lot of weight. And finally, the degree of advanced knowledge in military strategy by reading various manuals. The final grade comes from combining these three fundamentals when taking down real monsters. With this, your job and salary are completely decided by your position in this cowardly pyramid. In this rotten system, the delivery guy sits on the ground leaning against a container, feeling very sad. He cries on the inside, knowing that as a failure he would never become a warrior, leaving him with the worst job. His device's screen clearly shows his ridiculous grade in Class F for almost all aptitudes. The poor man suffers, just wanting to have a little bit of a special gift to be able to fight for the planet. But suddenly a coworker yells, telling him to look up, leaving our hero very scared. High above, a gloomy dimensional hole begins to tear through the blue clouds without explanation. He is completely in shock, unable to understand what kind of crazy thing is appearing. From this portal, a sinister one-eyed creature with bat wings flies out holding a blade. That giant yellow eye staring at the people below can strike fear into any soul. The flying freak lands heavily right in front of the group, covering everyone with its threatening shadow. On top of that, this invader brought several gross and armed henchmen along to cause terror in the city. At this, the leader of the mages orders the forces to attack with everything, wanting to eliminate the target immediately. But the winged fiends go on the offensive, taking down the front line with absurd ease. The giant beast opens its mouth and fires a relentless destructive beam, looking like a grim reaper. The entire army of supposed prodigy kids ends up being thrown far away by the strong impact, making it very clear that the old defenses were like shredded paper against the fury of this unknown race. The worker runs for his life, realizing the absurd danger since the new monsters were much worse. And it was in this tragic way that evil reduced our cities to ruins in a matter of 3 days. After that, Ado and his little sister Luna watch the completely destroyed city from high up. The two of them are shocked by the sheer scale of the destruction and the smoke taking over everything. The very scared girl asks her older brother if the world is going to end like that. The protagonist tries to calm the little girl down, promising to protect her, but he doubts his own strength. But the young girl gives a beautiful smile, saying she feels safe by the great Ado's side. She finishes her sentence stating that the young man is the kindest and best person on the whole planet. Hearing these sweet words ends up leaving our hero quite tense and thoughtful. Right after, the girl runs off excitedly, saying she's going to look for some food. The delivery guy lowers his head, wondering what good it is to be kind in such a cruel world. Suddenly, a scream of sheer terror echoes through the place, making the man panic instantly. He turns around quickly, calling out his sister's name, and comes face to face with a giant monster. The failure's eyes fill with pure terror as he sees the terrible scene in front of him. That sinister winged beast was holding the poor girl with extreme brutality. The brother screams with all his soul, ordering the creature to let the girl go immediately. He remembers that the two of them lost their parents early on and always fought together to survive. Without thinking twice, the young man activates his magic pressure ability, firing a beam. The small sphere of light hits the invader's stomach as he begs for the attack to work. But the freak doesn't even feel the hit while the young girl keeps suffering in the claws of evil. In the blink of an eye, the giant squeezes the girl tightly, causing a very severe injury. The sad hero cries out of hatred, raising his hand and cursing his own weakness. At that moment, an elite warrior appears, jumping over the crying man with green magic. The glowing spell hits the Cyclops' head squarely, surprising the big monster. The mysterious savior lands with style, wielding his sharp sword against the enemy. Seeing that impressive scene, the protagonist is left open, jawed in the middle of the dust. The battalion commander named Gurren warns that he will hold off the beast, telling them to run away. The strong soldier charges forward, delivering fast strikes against the threats with great skill. With this, Ito takes the chance and runs, carrying his beloved little sister in his arms. During the desperate escape, the young man cries, asking the girl to wake up soon. The girl opens her eyes very slowly, trying to call her little brother's name in a lot of pain. But the young girl's body suddenly loses its strength, falling limp in the delivery guy's arms. The failed warrior's world seems to fall apart as he realizes what had just happened. Unfortunately, the little one couldn't withstand the terrible injuries and passed away. The poor guy cries desperately, screaming his sister's name as his heart breaks into 1,000 pieces. 3 difficult days pass, and we see a huge stone headstone in a brightly lit field. Ito clasps his hands, praying in front of the grave with an expression of deep sadness and mourning. The poor man deeply regrets it, stating that the blame for that tragedy was entirely his. He suffers thinking that if he had the magical gift, he could have saved his family's life. But the peace of the cemetery is interrupted when someone yells with urgency, telling everyone to run. A group of armed men runs by, warning that the area is no longer safe. High above, the same one-eyed beast reappears, flying around to spread more chaos in the region. The wicked creature charges a destructive purple attack in its mouth, ready to devastate everything. The sad delivery guy gets angry, just wanting little time to honor the girl. Without any mercy, the fiend fires the lethal beam, blowing up a large part of the terrain. The protagonist barely manages to escape but ends up falling to the ground quite injured. He coughs non-stop, feeling the pain of his wounds as he tries to get up from the dirt. With that, the young man opens his dirty hand and reveals that he still has his last energy potion. The poor man lets out a cry of pain mixed with a lot of anger at his pitiful situation. But luckily for him, the great commander reappears, slicing the monsters with glowing strikes. Our injured hero asks if the strong warrior was still fighting against that all by himself. The exhausted leader states with great determination that he will not surrender the planet, promising to protect everyone. With that, the skilled warrior faces the monster with glowing strikes, leaving Ito completely impressed. The commander creates several sharp ice spikes, launching them all against the flying beasts. But the delivery guy widens his eyes, noticing a terrible danger approaching from behind. He yells desperately, warning about the surprise attack heading toward the hero. However, it was already too late, and the great soldier ends up being cowardly pierced in the back. The warrior takes heavy damage, feeling immense pain from the severe wound. With that, he falls to his knees on the ground, using his own blade so he doesn't collapse entirely. The poor man breathes with great difficulty, trying to endure the fatal injury. With that, the young man runs over there, offering his last healing potion and begging his idol to drink it. But the commander refuses the help, telling the failure to drink the magical liquid instead of him. The protagonist smiles with a dirty face, saying that the hero's life matters much more to the earth. The leader completely disagrees, stating that all people are equal and the young man was also very strong. The poor guy cries, revealing that he only wanted to be skilled to be able to protect his little sister. With a sad look, the commander confesses that he also couldn't save the woman he loved so much. Hearing that unexpected confession leaves our hero quite shocked, realizing that his great idol also carried the pain of losing a special person. At that moment, the warrior grabs the young man's hand, passing on a very important mission, showing his mystical silver bracelet shining intensely on his wrist. The leader's spirit appears behind the young man, entrusting the future of the whole world into his hands. The delivery guy is in shock, unable to believe he was chosen for something so grand. He shouts, denying the task, warning that only the commander would be capable of saving our planet. The two continue talking on the edge of the rocky abyss in a totally devastated scenario. Suddenly, a gigantic beast appears from behind, raising a huge blade for the final strike. The warrior pushes the boy hard, telling him to run away while he holds back the fatal threat. With that, the monster attacks, releasing an immense flash that lights up the entire battlefield. The young man is thrown by the light, closing his eyes and imagining that this would be his tragic end. However, the heroic leader uses his last bit of strength to cast a green reversal spell. The protagonist thinks of his little sister, waiting for the end while the brightness swallows everything. But in the blink of an eye, Ado wakes up startled with a much younger appearance. He looks around completely confused, staring at a green classroom chalkboard. The boy wonders where he ended up while seeing several students chatting normally. Realizing he was now wearing a clean school uniform and was in the body of a teenager. A sign indicates that this was the Academy's entrance exam in the year 2055. The hologram confirms the date, leaving the student perplexed since he should be 20 years in the future. The young man widens his eyes, unable to process what had just happened to his life. Realizing that he traveled 2 whole decades, going straight back to the past. He scratches his head, trying to understand this crazy time travel situation, until his eyes catch a silver detail shining on his left arm. That was exactly the same bracelet the injured commander had given him. The mysterious artifact was still firmly there, confirming that none of that was a dream. Our hero remembers the spell cast by the warrior before the great explosion of light, and finally understands that this absurd magic served to revive him in the past. At that moment, the gray-haired teacher announces the start of the test for all candidates. The teenager watches the instructor speak, while the class prepares to write. With that, he sits in the chair with a look full of determination focused on the paper. Holding the pen, the student decides to put his doubts aside for a moment, focusing only on passing that difficult evaluation to change his destiny. But upon glancing at the questions, something very strange catches his attention. The boy begins to answer everything quickly, realizing that the challenges were way too easy. He gives a confident smile, solving the problems without any apparent effort. Next, we see the practical test area where students train with swords against metal dummies. Ito holds his weapon and attacks with great precision, creating a sharp blue light beam. The young man is impressed with his own talent, noting that his skill with the blade has improved a lot. With this, he realizes that he must have inherited the old commander's combat abilities when traveling through time. Then the image of the great hero comes to his mind, remembering the request to save that terrible world. Our hero promises with great firmness that he will cleanse the earth of all the mysterious beasts. So he runs through the city streets, determined to become the strongest mage in that entire academy. Later, a very cute little girl looks up with big, bright eyes. Seeing his little sister alive again makes the time traveler cry with emotion, with a huge smile on his face. Without thinking twice, the man disguised as a teenager hugs the girl with all his strength and love. The girl is quite confused, asking what happened for her beloved little brother to act like that. But inside, the warrior swears to himself that he will never let anyone hurt his family again. During the school's entrance ceremony, the student reflects that he did his best, waiting for the final grade. His look shows the anxiety of someone who doesn't want to relive a past of failures and suffering. Suddenly, a mean noble throws food at a lower-class student, calling the poor guy a useless insect. However, the commotion is interrupted when the academy's gray-haired director calls out our protagonist's name. The young man raises his head right away and answers the leader's call with great respect. He walks to the stage while the other students whisper, not knowing who that mysterious boy is. The director congratulates the rookie with a smile on his face, handing him a luxurious box. The student opens the package carefully and is surprised by the shiny object kept inside. That was a highly rare golden emblem, given only to the owner of the highest score in the entire exam. Getting first place leaves the young man totally shocked, unable to believe what was happening. With this, he wonders if this new position means being at the top of the social hierarchy of the entire school. Later in the giant cafeteria, we see the hero standing watching his classmates chatting at the tables. The champion walks in his new uniform, still trying to process his incredible victory in the exams. But his happiness ends when he notices the gross and poor food that was being served on his tray. Having only dry bread and water, the boy reflects that this was the standard treatment for the lowest class. But he quickly turns his head, noticing a very important detail in the hall. A large glowing panel displayed a different and luxurious menu for each classification in the academy. At that moment, a scared classmate bumps violently into the rookie, telling him to get out of the way. The bully knocks the poor guy's food to the floor, annoying our hero who demands an explanation right away. The purple-haired attacker smiles mockingly, asking if the commoner has a problem with the nobility. Hearing that makes the victim kneel down, begging for desperate apologies for being in front of a superior. The mean noble explains that challenging people with higher grades is totally forbidden by the local rules. Ignoring the rich kid's arrogance, the young man helps the fallen classmate, asking if he was okay. This irritates the arrogant guy, who tells the boy to calm down, thinking they both had the same level. But right after, the bully's eyes fill with astonishment upon noticing a detail on the student's clothes. The golden emblem proved that the champion was actually from the high class, something impossible for a beginner. Realizing the huge difference in power leaves the purple-haired noble grinding his teeth in pure anger and envy. Not caring about the jerk's tantrum, the strong warrior crouches down, picking up the dirty tray from the floor. The other students are shocked by the boy's humility, cleaning up the mess even though he belongs to the elite. This kind attitude makes the attacker click his tongue with hatred, feeling very humiliated in front of everyone. The jerk warns that this disgusts him, turning his back and telling his henchmen to leave. In his thoughts, the rich kid swears revenge, promising to make the good guy bow before him in the future. After the commotion, a table full of wonder food with meats and pizza is served as a special menu. The kind champion invites his weaker classmates to share the feast, generating a lot of joy and gratitude. From afar, a beautiful silver-haired girl watches the act of kindness with great interest in the hero. The beautiful young lady named Sarah decides that the boy isn't just another model student, catching her attention. So the princess approaches the table, kindly asking if she could have lunch with them. Our protagonist stutters very nervously because that girl was totally unreachable in his past life. The platinum-haired girl smiles softly, praising the young man's great kindness. But the student replies with his head down that just being kind doesn't protect anyone. With a determined look, he states that he wishes to seek true strength above all else. Hearing these mature words makes the princess think the rookie is a very interesting person. Far away from there, the purple-haired noble and his giant henchman watch the scene full of anger. The big guy warns that he is going to crush the show off while the rich kid smiles wickedly. Suddenly, an object flies tearing through the air, and the hero gets startled by the cowardly attack. A gigantic axe lands right in the middle of the table, destroying their entire beautiful feast. The heavy weapon gets stuck in the floor, raising a lot of dust through the cafeteria hall. With this, the young lady stands up annoyed, reminding them that private duels were strictly forbidden. But the purple-haired villain just smiles, warning that they were there to fight. The brute also mocks him, saying he just wanted to teach the boy not to lower his guard. The rookie remembers his sister's tragedy, stating that he knows the cruelty of battles very well. He faces the attackers with a very cold look, questioning what they really wanted. Our hero remains seated calmly, holding his spoon in the middle of all the mess. Then the giant raises his heavy weapon, challenging the top student to a rebellion mission. The other students are shocked by a class challenge right after the grand enrollment. The platinum-haired girl looks at the bullies, questioning if they had lost their minds. But the two punks keep smiling, full of confidence and arrogance in their posture. The champion finds the situation amusing, thinking it was a good chance to test his skills. This school duel consists of stealing 100 points from the loser and climbing the general ranking. Shortly after, the group goes up to the rooftop where the only rule was to knock out the opponent. The hero decides to accept the combat to see the level of his own current strength. However, the rich kid interrupts the fight, proposing a cruel bet to make things more fun. The princess claps back with mockery, saying the rookie would win easily since he has the highest grade. The wicked guy then sets his condition, warning that if the boy loses, the girl would be his. The protagonist gets angry right away, saying the young lady couldn't accept such madness. But the brave student agrees to the crazy challenge without thinking twice. This immediate answer leaves our hero quite surprised and sweating cold. The platinum-haired girl imposes her own rule, demanding that the nobles stop treating her like an object. The villain accepts the deal, laughing in her face and thinking the girl is way too full of herself. Before the start, the former delivery guy reflects that he has no real combat experience. The duel finally begins with the noble casting a powerful ice spell. The young man gets very nervous seeing the frozen blades and tries to think of how to dodge. But suddenly his arm moves on its own, casting a defensive magic circle. He looks at his own hand shocked, noticing that his body reacted out of pure instinct. From afar, the princess smiles impressed by the young man's reaction speed. With this, the hero understands that he inherited the battle experiences from the old commander. Taking the chance, he fires an intense fire spell at the attacker. The rich kid mocks him, thinking that a simple nerd's strike would be totally predictable. However, the rookie surprises everyone by casting a second ice magic right after. The villain widens his eyes in amazement when he realizes the true strength of the enemy flames. The brilliant mixture of elements tears through the noble's attack with absurd ease. A large explosion hits the coward, throwing him far away with heavy damage. The protagonist smiles, remembering that this was the signature move of his late idol. The beautiful student is left speechless, wanting to know where he learned such an advanced combo. After taking down the first target, the young man wields his sword, wanting to end everything quickly. He prepares for the next move, focused on the master's teachings about not hesitating. But the big guy appears from behind, swinging his axe and telling the boy not to get cocky. Our hero notices the cowardly approach, shooting a sharp look at the brute. The giant axe comes down with full force, and our hero struggles to withstand the impact. Seeing that, the platinum-haired girl yells that they are cowards because the fight was only against the rich kid. At this, the two villains laugh in her face, revealing that the challenge was always against the two of them together. The student realizes he fell into a trap in unfair 2-on-1 combat. With a mocking smile, the noble reminds him that the boy himself said the battlefield isn't fair. The young woman yells for Ito to stop because a duel like that is totally invalid and unfair. But the young man replies that it's okay because 1 or 2 enemies make no difference to him at all. Surprised by her classmate's confidence, the princess calls him by his name, not understanding his attitude. With sword in hand, the time traveler states that he has a great destiny to fulfill there. His mission was to protect that country from the future monster invasion that would happen in 20 years. Because of this, he thinks he cannot back down over something as small and pathetic as that fight. The warrior charges forward with everything, remembering that in a real battle there are no rules to follow. He faces the two opponents, knowing the only options were to survive or be defeated. Watching the scene, the girl realizes her friend isn't looking at the present, but rather at the future. The bullies whisper wickedly that the plan from the start was to take down the rookie. Our hero runs for the attack, yelling and thinking that with his sword, victory would be easy. But suddenly he grinds his teeth in anger, realizing that the situation got complicated. The two enemies attack at the same time, with one strike coming from the ground and another from above. Without hesitating, the champion uses his blade to perfectly block both simultaneous attacks. The princess is shocked by the young man's absurd strength in stopping that giant axe. With a confident smile, the young man decides he will start the counterattack by taking down one of them. His plan was simple and direct: take down the two enemies one at a time without stalling. He exchanges quick sword strikes with the noble, showing impressive skill in the fight. But his blade starts to crack, and the boy understands that his power was too strong for the weapon. Taking the chance, the brute charges his axe with a powerful thunder spell. At this, the rich kid states the fight is already theirs while casting magic to make the floor slippery. The young woman panics because the combo doubles the spell's power, and she wonders what Ado is going to do. The combined attack of lightning and oil heads straight toward our defenseless protagonist. He thinks angrily that his current shield magic cannot completely block that strike, so the young man decides he will risk it all in a single do or die move right then. A screen shows the summoning ability inherited from the commander, and he decides to test this power. With this, the hero raises his hand and yells the word summon with all his strength. Behind him, a gigantic red creature appears out of nowhere in an intense flash of light. The two attackers are terrified by the appearance of a dragon, fearing they cannot win. A purple light takes over everything while the student wonders what is happening. He stares at the creature in fear, wanting to know what kind of monster that was. The summon shows its sharp claws and a giant eye glaring at everyone. But to everyone's surprise, the beast was just a cute little dragon yawning sleepily. The big guy is left looking foolish, not understanding that summoning joke. The two villains burst into laughter, mocking the weak creature and calling the ability useless. But the little dragon hears the insult and shoots a look full of hatred at the jerks. Flying through the skies, the beast asks what they had just said with great anger. Then, the creature fires a bright purple energy beam from its mouth. The powerful light beam heads straight toward the two bullies, who are paralyzed with fear. The cowardly duo screams desperately for help as they are swallowed by the little dragon's attack. The protagonist is surprised by the incredible ability, wanting to know what that was. From afar, the princess recognizes the creature as one of the strongest summons that exists. She states that this was a draga, a rare legendary rank S being among mages. Fallen on the ground, the villains are amazed to discover they were defeated by such a rare summon. The student asks the creature if its name is Draga, and the little pet confirms it is. The summoned creature breathes fire from its mouth, asking if it should finish off the two attackers for good. At this, the two cohorts panic and beg for their lives, asking our hero for help. But the protagonist denies the request, telling the little dragon to stop and end the mission right there. The little dragon questions the master's decision, reminding him that having mercy on the battlefield is forbidden. The student smiles at the creature, stating that he had already seen enough its great power. Moreover, the young man adds saying they aren't enemies, but rather future battle companions. Hearing those mature words leaves the little creature quite thoughtful and silent. Fallen on the ground, the two defeated guys grumble that our hero just got lucky this time. The noble grinds his teeth in anger and swears with hatred that one day he will crush that rookie. With this, the flying little dragon approaches the master, stating that he is a very kind person. The young man then introduces himself as Ito and asks the creature not to call him kind. The little dragon agrees to the request and says it's a pleasure to finally meet its new master. The student smiles and replies that the pleasure is all his to meet the little creature. From afar, the platinum-haired girl watches the scene, thinking about the name of that mysterious man. The princess reflects that he might become the strongest mage the world has ever seen. Later that same night, we see the whole city illuminated by the large full moon. Already at home, his little sister hugs Draga tightly, thinking the creature is very cute. The older brother explains that despite being a summon, the little pet is like a dog. At this, the girl smiles very happily, saying she always dreamed of having a puppy at home. Hearing that leaves the little dragon with a vein popping on its forehead from pure anger. Seeing her happiness, the young man thinks that the girl has suffered a lot and swears he won't let her suffer anymore. He then warns his sister that despite its silly appearance, the pet is very fierce and dangerous. The little dragon gets upset right away and asks its master who he was calling silly. The student bursts into laughter and apologizes to the creature, telling it not to be mad. Seeing their funny interaction, the little girl also can't help it and starts laughing. With this, the young man reflects that his second life at the Grand Academy had finally begun. Following that, the first big event for the new students is the important class selection. The school has 3 different classes, with the Tiger Ferric valuing boldness and initiative. The Oso Squadra focuses on students who seek adventure, ambition, and a lot of power. Finally, the Aniclimax looks for students with high intelligence, strategy, and astuteness. Additionally, there are several competitions, and the winning class always receives special bonuses. The Academy's director continues his speech in front of all the new students. He warns that this is an important event that could determine the future of each one of them. At this, the princess turns to our hero and asks if he has already decided which class he will join. The young man replies with a serious look that he still hasn't been able to decide his path. The girl then comments that Tiger Farik is out of the question because the teacher there is a brute. The boy confirms that the rumors are true, remembering that in his past life that class was a nightmare. That was Ivan of Tiger, a true monster disguised as an academy teacher. The greatest joy of that cruel man was making the failing students suffer with his methods. The protagonist remembers the hard training he suffered at the hands of that tormentor. Suddenly, the feared teacher appears in front of the young man, interrupting his thoughts. The man with the sinister look asks if he is Ito Kiryu, the student with the highest exam score. Our hero gets a little nervous but confirms it was him without hesitating. Seeing the scene, the princess gets worried and wonders what teacher Ivan wants with the boy. The teacher then asks the student if he had applied for a scholarship. The young man confirms the information, explaining that without the scholarship things would get difficult financially. With this, the master reveals his condition, warning that to win the scholarship he must join Tiger Ferric. The young man curses the man in his thoughts, wondering what the true goal of that wicked guy was. Meanwhile, the teacher smiles wickedly, thinking the rookie is a cocky brat and that he is going to break his spirit. After thinking a bit, the student faces the teacher with a serious look and replies that he understands. The princess is completely surprised by her friend's decision, accepting the dangerous proposal. But our hero thinks with great anger that he is going to make that corrupt teacher kneel before him. He then tells the master that he also has his own condition to accept the deal. The teacher smiles and calls the student by his name, inviting him to a special exam. The boy is confused by the situation and asks what he will need to do in this test. The master replies with a wicked smile that the young man will fight a rank A magical beast. At this, the student stands in the middle of the underground arena, unable to believe he would face such a strong beast. With mockery, the master says that for the best student in the class, this should be an easy battle. The protagonist wonders why that wicked teacher is picking on him so much. Suddenly, another student with glasses appears, asking to watch the fight for educational purposes. The platinum-haired girl also arrives right away and says she would like to watch the combat up close. The teacher allows their presence, praising the two for being such dedicated students. The young lady thinks it's ridiculous they are doing this for a scholarship and is sure the master is plotting something. The iron gate opens slowly, and our hero feels the presence of something approaching. From the darkness, a giant claw and a muscular body begin to come out of the cage with ferocity. The monstrous creature finally reveals its full form, looking like a giant and strong lizard. A holographic panel identifies the rank of magical beast with the name Gosville. The young man makes a disgusted face, thinking that beast remained just as scary as before. The princess is shocked and wonders if her friend is really going to fight that monster. The teacher explains that the creature is used in veteran training and that the rookie has no chance. The master warns the student to run away in case he thinks he can't win the battle. He finishes his sentence saying that otherwise, the young man will end up meeting his end. But the hero replies that there is no way he's going to run because without the scholarship he would have to drop out of school. Looking at the teacher, the young man states that he will absolutely not let him win that bet. With a determined look, he clenches his fist, knowing that winning was his only option. The student analyzes the beast, realizing that since it was raised in captivity, it lacks wild ferocity. The creature lets out a threatening roar, showing its sharp teeth to the warrior. Without wasting time, the monster fires a blue energy beam from its mouth with great force. The young man manages to dodge easily, thinking that the attacks were simple, and that he could win. With that, the beast stumps hard on the arena floor, kicking up a lot of dust and rocks. Suddenly, a blue aura surrounds the monster's entire body, making it even more threatening. The creature starts charging a powerful magical attack with a circle of glowing runes. To defend himself, the young man casts a crystal shield spell in front of his body. The monster's attack hits the protection barrier head-on, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. The beast lets out a roar of victory, thinking it had finally defeated its opponent. Our hero is thrown backward by the force of the impact, crying out in pain from the hit. He stumbles, feeling an absurd bloodlust coming from the creature in front of him. The teacher watches from afar, thinking that leaving the beast without food for 3 days was a good idea. With this, the monster was finally regaining its wild and natural ferocity. The student with glasses smiles wickedly, telling the creature to finish off our hero once and for all. The princess panics, saying that at this rate her friend has no chance of winning. But the boy takes a deep breath, keeping calm in the middle of all that dangerous situation. He thinks that this level of ferocity is impossible for a training beast. But with a confident smile, he remembers that he knows that creature's weakness. Preparing for the attack, he recalls memories from his past life to fight. He remembers that the combat of these artificial beasts is controlled by a chip in the back of their necks. So he concludes that if he manages to destroy the artificial intelligence chip, the beast will stop moving. The teacher notices that the young man is aiming exactly at the head of the giant monster. At this, he wonders if the student somehow knows about the existence of the control chip. The warrior jumps with everything and brings his sword down with full force right on the creature's neck. However, the creature manages to block the strike with its hard shell and throws him away. The boy recovers from the impact, thinking that even though it was blocked, he wasn't going to give up. He knows that every magical beast has strengths and weaknesses, and that Gosville's power is immense. But the creature's speed is very slow, and with his inherited agility, it shouldn't be a problem. But suddenly the monster lands a quick hit with its tail, striking the warrior squarely. Our hero is completely shocked by the absurd speed of the surprise attack. He tries to defend himself with his sword, but the force of the blow is too great to withstand. With this, the young man gets badly hurt, feeling an immense pain all over his body from the impact. The monster throws him into the air with great brutality, giving him no chance to react. The student crashes hard into the arena wall, feeling his bones pop from the collision. He tries to get up, feeling that something was very wrong with that creature. That wasn't the same monster he knew, because its power and speed were different. From afar, the teacher smiles, saying that rewriting the artificial intelligence programming was the right decision. He confirms that as his assistant suggested, he removed the beast's power limiter. Now that thing was no longer a training animal, but a machine of destruction. The princess gets angry and accuses the two of setting up her friend. The assistant mocks her, saying that was an ugly accusation and that they just gave the poor guy a chance. The young lady can't stand the hypocrisy and calls the man a coward with a lot of anger in her eyes. Desperate, she yells to Ito with all her strength, telling him to win that fight. The monster charges a new magical attack, creating a circle of power above its head. Several gigantic ace crystals begin to form in the air, ready for the attack. To defend himself, the young man casts his crystal shield spell once again. But the creature's strike is too strong and the hero yells in pain as his defense breaks. He holds onto his injured arm, thinking that thing wasn't just a rank A. The student realizes that the beast was modified and evolved into a terrible rank S monster. Our hero holds on his injured arm, thinking that thing wasn't just a rank A. The student realizes that the beast was modified and evolved into a terrible rank S monster. Even so, he stands up with his sword in hand, determined not to give up the fight. He thinks he can't afford to lose, because without the scholarship he couldn't continue at the academy. Gathering his last bit of strength, he summons his little dragon to help in the battle. The teacher's assistant is surprised to see that the young man managed to activate an ability. A giant flaming creature appears behind the warrior with a powerful roar. The teacher and his assistant are shocked by the appearance of that summon, but the creature reveals itself to be just the little draga, who winks cutely. The princess smiles relieved with the arrival of the savior and says she is counting on him. Our hero asks his friend to lend him his strength, and the little dragon agrees immediately. With an intense red glow, the little dragon fires a powerful beam towards the monster. The giant beast screams in pain from the attack, feeling the flames burn its body. Seeing his chance, the young man runs to attack, wanting to destroy the chip while he could. The monster's body starts to shake and release a strange purple smoke from inside. Dark energy surrounds the creature, which falls to its knees on the arena floor. The princess watches the scene, not understanding what was happening to the monster. A purple aura explodes from the beast's body, and it starts to transform into something new. Our hero is shocked, because he never saw a transformation like that even in his past life. The teacher smiles wickedly, revealing that the creature evolved into its second form. Several snake heads emerge from the monster's body, which becomes even more powerful and scary. The new heads charge forward with everything towards the student with great speed. The young man and his little dragon cast a magic shield to protect themselves from the attacks. The energy beams from the snakes hit the barrier hard, creating several explosions. Our hero struggles to maintain the defense while his shield starts to crack. The princess is shocked by the insane power of the monster, which managed to break Draga's shield. The little dragon warns that maybe they can't win and asks if his master wants to flee. But the boy yells that there is no way in hell he is running from that battle. Seeing that, the assistant smiles wickedly, stating that the student's defeat is guaranteed. He thinks with satisfaction that the rookie will finally disappear from that academy forever. In his thoughts, the envious guy swears he won't allow our hero to rank above him. The young lady yells her friend's name and reveals that all of that was a trap set by the assistant. The protagonist is surprised to discover that he had fallen into a well-planned ambush. The girl adds, saying that they even modified the beast and that the boy has no way to win. With a serious look, the young man says he understands, and that is why the creature kept leveling up. But he yells with determination that if that's the case, then he just needs to win that fight. The princess panics and calls her friend an idiot, asking if he wanted to end up losing his life. The teacher's assistant just watches the scene, calling the student a stubborn fool. With an evil smile, he orders his creature to end our hero's life once and for all. The little dragon asks what the plan is, because with the modification the beast no longer has weaknesses. But the boy smiles with confidence, stating that this was exactly the monster's weak point. He then tells his friend to spit flames all over the place to create a distraction. The little dragon agrees with the plan but asks if that really makes any sense. The two prepare for the attack while the little dragon launches several fireballs around the arena. The multi-headed creature charges right at them without caring about the flames. The teacher mocks them, saying that such a simple attack could never defeat his creation. The monster charges a new purple lightning spell, ready to end the fight. But the little dragon doesn't give up and keeps attacking the beast with all its firepower. The princess wonders what her friend's plan is, because he couldn't win a magic battle. The young man reflects that if the teacher programmed the beast, then its weakness is the same as the master's. He remembers that teacher Ivan was obsessed with magic combat and always avoided hand-to-hand fights. At this, the princess finally understands the plan and realizes he used the flames to create an opening. Our hero yells that a teacher with no real battle experience could never beat him. Taking advantage of the distraction from the flames, he charges forward and pierces the monster's head with his sword. The sharp blade hits the control chip right on target, shattering it from the strong impact. The teacher widens his eyes in pure shock, realizing the situation got very bad for him. The artificial intelligence chip is destroyed, and the monster's body starts shooting sparks. With a victorious smile, the boy celebrates that his plan had worked and that they won. The little dragon approaches the master and praises his great move in the battle. The princess runs up to them with a huge smile on her face, saying the fight was incredible. The student thanks her for the compliment but states that it was all thanks to his little dragon friend. The teacher and his assistant grind their teeth in anger, unable to believe they had lost. Suddenly, the monster's body starts moving again, and the assistant asks what is happening. He tries to warn the creature that the enemy was on the other side, but it was already too late. Without the control chip, the beast goes into berserker mode and attacks its own creators. The two scream in terror as they are hit squarely by the monster's out-of-control attack. A massive lightning explosion destroys part of the arena, throwing the two far away. Our hero and the princess watch the scene and realize the creature went totally crazy. The young lady sighs in relief, thinking they got what they deserved for fighting dirty. The protagonist smiles at the victory and at the fact that he put those two in their proper place. Later, we see the facade of the building where our heroes live on a very sunny day. The student eats his rice peacefully while his little dragon devours a banana. His little sister comes to the table and comments that this day marks the beginning of his academy life. The boy agrees and says he will do his best, as he already has a class competition right away. He explains that the competition between the classes has a major impact on everyone's final grades. The girl smiles, hoping he gets strong classmates for the competition. With the flags of the three classes highlighted, life at the academy is finally going to start. The first class is Oso Squadra, which values adventure, ambition, and a lot of power. The second is Aniclimax, which focuses on intelligence, strategy, and astuteness. And finally, Tigre Ferric, which seeks boldness, action, and decisiveness, where our hero ended up joining. Suddenly, someone calls the boy's name, making him turn around to see who it was. It was the princess, who runs excitedly up to him, saying that from that day on they were classmates. The student is surprised to learn she also joined Tiger and thanks her for the company. The young lady makes a pouty face and says it's not like she was following him. The young man smiles and states that with her there, their class will become unbeatable in the competition. But the two bullies from before show up, saying that their class is the strongest of all. The princess comments that they really do have some strong members on their team. However, she finishes the sentence stating that most of them there are just a bunch of delinquents. At this, teacher Ivan arrives and tells our hero that from now on he is going to train him relentlessly. The student gets tense at the threat but agrees to the training without showing fear. With an evil smile, the teacher hands the class roster over to them. The document shows the academy's name and the complete list of the 23rd mage class. The pair of friends takes the paper and is shocked by what was written there. The list reveals that almost all the students in that class were rank F, the lowest of all. The boy wonders why the division of students was so unbalanced like that. With this, they realize they will fight alongside a group of failures in the competition. The teacher just laughs at the situation and wishes them good luck with a lot of mockery. The princess notes that all the elite students gathered in Aniclimax and that they are on another level. Our hero gets indignant at the injustice and the blatant manipulation of the results. His rival with glasses shows up with his class, mocking that a bunch of losers would never win. The protagonist glares at the enemy and asks what he had done to cause that. The rival explains that it all comes down to the simple principle of capitalism that rules the world. He finishes his speech stating that power always gathers where the wealth is. The princess is shocked and asks if he means he bought off all the elite students. The rival ignores the accusation and invites the young lady to join them in case she is jealous. But she refuses right away, saying she doesn't want to be on the side of a bunch of cowards. At that moment, a loud voice catches the attention of all the students gathered there. The academy director announces the start of the first event for the new mage class. A large holographic panel appears in front of them, showing a glowing map. As expected, the first event was a simple orienteering exercise in the forest. The director explains that using only a map and a compass, they must pass through the checkpoints. He adds that the fastest class to reach the objective will receive 100 points each. The other students get excited by the news, dreaming of ranking up with the points. For the competition, only 5 selected members from each class will be able to participate. The rival with glasses smiles confidently, thinking that with his speed spell, victory was easy. Meanwhile, the two bullies think that is a simple event and that they don't need to worry. But our hero knows that this is not just a normal, simple orienteering event. He remembers that the racecourse is inside an area infested with magical creatures, which makes that competition an extremely difficult and very dangerous task for everyone. He looks at his rank F classmates and remembers that his first time around, he was also a failure. Because of this, he clenches his fist with determination and swears he won't give up on that fight. The princess approaches and asks how he plans to win with such a weak class. The young man then starts asking if anyone there knows the mountains, knows about stars, or is good at crafting. 3 of the students timidly raise their hands and introduce themselves as Forno, Kuai, and Libra. With a smile on his face, our hero invites the 3 to form a team with him and the princess. One of the students replies that they would only get in the way and drag the team down. But the protagonist smiles confidently and states that no matter what happens, they can win. The 3 students are totally shocked by their leader's confidence and determination. The princess is also surprised and asks how he plans to win with such a weak team. The director fires a shot into the air and announces that the orienteering race has officially started. The rivals' team uses a speed spell to increase the quickness of all their members. With this, they take off running in front while the other students yell for them not to lose. Seeing the enemy's advantage, our hero yells for his team to start moving. But the 3 rookies lag behind, thinking it's impossible to win being only rank F. The leader then encourages them, telling them to believe in him and that they will fight as a team. The words of encouragement seem to work, and the three agree to follow the plan. They state they got the message and will believe in their leader until the end. With a determined look, the protagonist swears to himself that he will win with that team. With this, the five run off together through the forest, ready to face the challenge. The bullies team also runs with everything, wanting to keep their lead in the race. Meanwhile, the rivals team uses their speed to pass right by them, telling them to get out of the way. One of the bullies is shocked by the other team's quickness and asks if they used magic. The anicap team passes their opponents with impressive ease. Their leader smiles, saying they focused all their ability on speed and that they won't lose. The two bullies get angry because neither of them can use speed magic. While the two teams fight for the lead, our group of heroes falls behind. But suddenly the protagonist tells everyone to stop running for a second. One of the girls asks why they stopped if they need to hurry to catch up with the others. The leader ignores the question and turns to Libra, confirming if he knows the mountains well. He then points to the map and asks if they can follow the river to get to the first checkpoint. The boy replies that it's possible, but that path would be a huge detour for them. The princess complains that they have no time for detours and suggests using speed magic. But our hero shoots down the idea, stating that speed alone won't win that race. Far away, the rival team keeps running, confident that the victory is already theirs. But suddenly, one of the members screams in shock and asks what had just happened. Two giant werewolves appear out of nowhere in front of them with a scary appearance. The team leader panics because he chose members focused only on speed and not on combat. One of the wolves cries out in pain upon being hit by a powerful strike from behind. The rival with glasses is shocked by the surprise attack that defeated the beast easily. It was the two bullies, who mockingly say that a creature of that level is nothing to them. The speed team leader is stunned to see the big guy defeat the beast with a single hit. The bullies tell the failures to go home and go on their way with arrogance. The rival grinds his teeth in anger, blaming himself for putting all his points into speed. His red-haired classmate comforts him, saying he was already going to defeat the beast and tells him not to get in the way. With a wicked smile, the red-haired boy gets ready to show his strength. He casts a powerful spell on the enraged creature. The werewolf takes the chance and charges with everything at the defenseless students. The teacher's assistant says goodbye, saying he will wait for them at the finish line. The two bullies laugh at their misfortune and tell them to do their best to survive. Meanwhile, our hero's team runs exhausted through the forest, trying to keep up the pace. Libra encourages them, saying they are close to reaching a tree with delicious fruits. The other two team members perk up at the news and keep running with more energy. The princess comments that choosing the boy who knows the mountains was the right decision. But she gets worried and asks if the other teams aren't already heading to the second checkpoint. The protagonist smiles with confidence and says he bet something happened right at that exact moment. Far away, the bullies team faces a huge problem on the way. They discover that the bridge they were supposed to cross was destroyed by some creature. With no other option, the team leader decides they will have to make a detour by the river. With this, he tells everyone to hurry so they don't lose their advantage in the race. The academy director looks at the race map with an expression of total surprise. He notices that all the teams are converging at the river and wonders if Tiger is in the lead. Meanwhile, our hero's team finally arrives at the edge of the river as planned. The director wonders if the young man foresaw all of that and acknowledges he has something special. The princess warns everyone to keep going, as the first checkpoint is right ahead. Our hero spots the objective and happily yells that he managed to find the place. With that, they run over there, celebrating that they finally managed to reach the checkpoint. They notice there are still 3 stones left at the site, which means something very important. The 3 rookies are surprised to realize this means they were the first ones to arrive. The boy picks up one of the stones with a victorious smile, confirming they are in first place. The princess asks how he knew that was the right route for victory. The student smiles shyly and replies that it was just a guess on his part. The young lady is impressed and thinks that with Ito on the team, they can truly win. But suddenly our hero notices 2 blue eyes glowing in the middle of the dark woods. He gets startled by the mysterious presence and prepares for the approaching danger. The other 3 team members scream in terror as they come face to face with the creature. A giant blue monster with glowing antennas appears in front of them, ready to attack. The princess panics and yells for everyone to run, because with that team they can't win. But the leader denies the order and states that they cannot advance until they defeat the beast. A giant blue monster with glowing antennas appears in front of them, ready to attack. The princess panics and yells for everyone to run, because with that team they can't win. But the leader denies the order and states that they cannot advance until they defeat the beast. The other team members panic because no one warned them there would be monsters on the way. Our hero then orders everyone to draw their swords, because they were going to fight with everything they had. The 3 rookies think the idea is impossible since they are only rank F warriors. The princess also agrees, saying they definitely should run away from that fight. With sword in hand, the young man asks if they would also run away if their family was in danger. His words catch everyone by surprise, leaving the 3 students in silence. He then approaches the creature bravely, ready to protect his friends. The image of his little sister comes to mind, reminding him of his desire to protect his family. With anger, the protagonist yells that because of this they cannot run away from that battle. The princess gets annoyed and asks if he is trying to make everyone lose their lives. But seeing the determination in her friend's eyes, she draws her sword, ready to fight by his side. Inspired by their leader's courage, the other three also decide to fight with all they have. The boy smiles and says that's the spirit, and that they are going to get strong all together as a team. The princess notes that thanks to Ito, everyone gained confidence and is more motivated. Lebra offers to help and asks if their leader has any plan for the battle. The protagonist remembers he already saw Captain Gurn defeat that same creature in the past. He then reveals that the monster's weak point is its antenna, and that he is going to distract it. Our hero charges forward with everything, yelling that they will definitely reach the goal together. To help in the fight, he activates his ability and summons his little dragon friend. The others are shocked to see he possesses a rank summoning ability. Little Draga appears yawning and asks what his master needs this time. The little dragon glares at the beast and says nap time is over and now it's time for battle. Without wasting time, the summoned creature fires a powerful blast of fire at the monster. Our hero uses the distraction to attack the beast's head with his sharp sword, but the monster manages to defend itself with its claws and easily knocks the young man aside. The creature glares at the team with a threatening look, ready for the next attack. Taking the chance, the princess yells for everyone to advance and attack together. The monster turns to them with a scary face, showing its gross blue tongue. The three rookies panic upon seeing the giant creature coming towards them. But their leader yells for them not to give up, because on the battlefield it's survive or fall. The little dragon tries to calm everyone down, saying the beast's blue eyes indicate something. He explains that this is a phantom creature used for training, and that it won't hurt them. But our hero counters saying that defeating the beast with their own hands will build confidence. He reminds them that if they don't get strong together, they won't be able to protect the world from the future invasion. With this, he asks once again for his teammates to fight by his side. One of the boys finally understands and says he also wants to become stronger in that academy. The other two are also inspired and state they don't want to be rank F anymore, but to change. The leader smiles proudly and says everyone there has a lot of potential to become strong. He then asks the princess to provide support with her magic while he attacks with a lightning bolt. The spell hits the monster head-on, and it screams in pain from the electric shock in its body. At this, the protagonist tells everyone to attack together, taking advantage of the creature being stunned. One of the boys charges forward with everything and yells for the beast to take his sword strike. The other one also attacks with determination, stating he won't lose that battle no matter what. The princess calls for Amy, and the two girls combine their attacks with great synchronization. The team strike hits the monster squarely, and it falls to the ground apparently defeated. One of the boys takes a deep breath, totally exhausted by the intensity of the battle. He wonders if they finally managed to defeat the magical beast with the combined attack. Our hero smiles and confirms they managed to win all together as a team. The three rookies celebrate the victory, thanking their leader for all the help and inspiration. One of them comments that he feels as long as they are with Ado, they can beat any challenge. With renewed confidence, the group moves forward, leaving the defeated creature behind. Far away, the bullies team finally reaches the race's first checkpoint. They are shocked to realize they are already in second place and the tiger team passed ahead. With anger, the red-haired boy says in that case he will simply sabotage his rivals. He then gets ready to attack the checkpoint totem, but his friend tries to stop him. The bully ignores the warning and destroys the old statue that served to calm the beasts. The statue shatters into 1,000 pieces on the ground, leaving everyone else in a panic. With an evil smile, the young man says that with that, the seal was finally broken. Our hero's team senses the presence of new beasts approaching from the forest. Several glowing red eyes appear from the darkness, staring at the students with hatred. The protagonist gets tense, realizing these aren't phantom beasts but real monsters. The boy reflects that he is not the same as in his first life, and that he can overcome that attack. At this, a giant monster looking like a gorilla appears in front of them, with great ferocity. Our hero charges forward with everything, yelling his little sister's name, ready for battle. He tries to use a fire spell, but nothing happens, leaving the warrior confused. With anger, he realizes his magic was also sealed in that mysterious space. But holding his weapon tighter, he notes he can still feel his power. He is in shock upon noticing the captain's bracelet has vanished, and he has reverted to his past self. The princess yells her friend's name, while the illusion of a monster prepares to attack. The magical creature slowly approaches with a threatening look full of hatred. The monster glares at the boy, who remembers that in the past he couldn't defeat that beast. That was an awakened rank C creature, a very powerful and dangerous enemy. The young lady yells for him to run, because if he lost that fight he would surely meet his end. The monster attacks with a powerful punch, but the boy manages to defend himself with his sword. Even reverting to his past self, he refuses to give up on that battle. He struggles to withstand the force of the strike while the princess watches in fear. The creature swats him aside with a strong slap, but the warrior does not let it get him down. He stands up with determination, stating he's tired of running and that now he will fight with everything. The monster prepares a powerful ice attack, ready to finish off its opponent. The princess panics because at that distance she wouldn't be able to dodge the spell. With a focused look, our hero says it's time to end that fight once and for all. He charges forward with everything, stating he will sever ties with his old failure self. His sword strike hits the creature right on, and it cries out in pain from the cutting impact. He passes right through the monster, which falls to the ground defeated by the surprise attack. The princess is shocked to see he charged without using magic and still won. Gripping his sword, the young man realizes his skills weren't completely taken away. With a confident look, he thinks that if that's true, then he still has a chance. He then yells for his friend to wake up, because all of that was just an illusion. The young lady remains paralyzed by fear, unable to move or react to the warning. She trembles in terror, saying she can't fight against that no matter what. Our hero approaches and asks if she hasn't decided to become a mage in her brother's place. The princess goes silent at the question, remembering her promise and her dream. With tears in her eyes, she states she wants to become stronger to honor his memory. She yells with determination that she wants to become the powerful mage her brother dreamed of so much. The boy encourages her, saying if that's the case then she must fight, because together they can win. He then comes up with a plan and tells his friend to aim for the side of the creature that has no arm. The two prepare for the combined attack, ready to face the two monsters together. With a battle cry, the dude charges forward with everything towards their enemies. The student swears to himself that he will gain the necessary strength to protect his little sister. He attacks one of the monsters with a precise sword strike, creating an opening for his partner. The princess takes the chance and attacks the other monster with her sharp blade. Her strike hits the creature's weak point squarely, and it falls to the ground defeated. She celebrates that the opening created by her friend gave her the chance to attack and win. The boy also celebrates that they succeeded, but his joy is short-lived. The two monsters stand up as if nothing happened, leaving the duo in shock. They realize the creatures use healing magic and that physical attacks alone don't work. Suddenly, the team of failures appears and says they will also fight by their side. Our hero is surprised by the unexpected arrival of his classmates. But he gets worried because those creatures were rank C and much too strong for them. One of the boys replies it would be boring to throw all the responsibilities solely on the two of them. The other smiles confidently and says the three of them together managed to defeat a creature on their own. The princess is surprised to learn that the three of them together managed to defeat a creature on their own. She reflects that before they were terrified, but now they have grown as warriors. Our hero thinks that if they overcame their challenges, then he can overcome his too. With this, he joins his friends, stating they will fight all together as a team. Suddenly, a fox statue appears in the middle of the room, putting everyone on alert. The statue's eyes start glowing with an intense and mysterious blue light. Next, several blue flames appear on the chandelier and on the library's bookshelves. Our hero stares at the fire with curiosity, wondering what that is. The princess approaches and asks what's wrong, and he tells her to read the titles of the books. Upon reading the words, they discover the books form the phrase, "Seal the Magic." The young woman then wonders if that's why their spells were being suppressed. The protagonist thinks about the situation carefully, trying to find a solution to the problem. With a confident smile, he says if that's it, then they can truly win that fight. He then runs to one of the shelves and starts looking for a specific book. The princess yells at him, saying it's no time to be reading in the middle of a battle. But the boy ignores the warning and keeps looking for the book he needs for his plan. Meanwhile, the two monsters prepare to attack the team with their sharp claws. The creatures charge forward with everything towards them with a look full of hatred and fury. The princess tries to use a protection spell to defend her friends from the attack. But as she expected, her magic still doesn't work because of the room's seal. The monsters' strike throws the three rookies far away with a lot of force and brutality. The young lady regrets that not even her barrier spells are working there. The fox statue continues with its glowing eyes, controlling the room's magic seal. One of the monsters approaches the princess with an evil smile, ready for the final blow. Our hero panics and yells that if they don't do anything, everyone will end up losing their lives. He finally finds the book he needed and pulls it from the shelf with determination. The words on the books change places, forming a new phrase with a different meaning. The fox statue loses its glow and the room's magic seal is finally broken. The young man celebrates that his plan worked exactly as he had thought from the start. A golden light surrounds the entire place, restoring the magic of all the students. The princess is confused and asks what her friend had done to break the seal. He explains that he just rearranged the books to form a new phrase and break the curse. The new phrase on the books now read "Awaken the Sage" instead of "Seal the Magic." The young lady is impressed by her friend's intelligence upon noticing such a complex puzzle. Our hero celebrates that with the seal broken, they can finally fight with all their power. He reflects that he never would have noticed that with the memories of his first life in the army. Back then, all the orders he received were written in secret codes. One of the notes he received said, "Katak East," but the letters were scrambled. The boy thinks that no experience is wasted and that even a painful past can be useful. With a confident smile, he says now it's time to take down those beasts once and for all. The two prepare for the final battle, facing the monsters with great courage. Our hero raises his sword and prays for all his skills to return to normal. The princess casts a powerful fire spell that hits one of the creatures directly. The monster screams in pain as its body is swallowed by the attack's intense flames. The protagonist also charges his sword with a thunder spell, ready for the final strike. Feeling his magic return, his bracelet on his wrist, he celebrates being back to normal. With a battle cry, he charges forward with everything at the other monster with his electric sword. He approaches the creature with great speed, ready to deliver the fatal blow. The thunder attack hits the monster squarely in the chest, electrocuting it with immense force. The young man celebrates his victory with a satisfied smile on his face after the long battle. The monster falls to the ground, completely defeated by the hero duo's combined attacks. The other students celebrate, impressed that they managed to defeat the beast with a single hit. The princess approaches her friend with a smile on her face and celebrates that they managed to win. The boy smiles back and praises his friend for her courage and skill in battle. But suddenly, the creature the princess had defeated stands up as if nothing happened. Our hero is shocked to see that her monster still hasn't been completely taken down. The creature's horn starts glowing with a very powerful dark purple energy. The energy surrounds the whole room, leaving the student team paralyzed with fear. The princess recognizes it as a high-level spell and panics because she can't block it. A gigantic thunder spear forms on the ceiling, ready to finish them all off at once. One of the girls closes her eyes tightly, thinking that this was the end of the line for them. But our hero doesn't give up and creates a magic shield to protect his team from the attack. With glowing hands, he manages to cast the magic just in time to save everyone. The princess is shocked to see he managed to use a high-level spell so quickly. She stares at her friend with a look of admiration and surprise at his hidden power. The young lady thinks he is getting stronger by the minute and that this is insane, but his classmates yell for him to be careful because the danger wasn't over yet. The monster he had defeated also gets up and fires a blast of fire from its mouth. The princess is surprised to see he can also use high-level magic with ease. With a quick movement, the young man manages to dodge the attack and lands safely on the ground. He stares at the floor, wondering why his spells weren't working properly. Suddenly, a red magic circle appears beneath his feet with a strange energy. The princess watches the scene with concern, not understanding what was happening. She recognizes it as a high-level explosion spell and yells for everyone to run. The young woman tries to reach her friend, but the explosion is already about to happen. The monster stares at its victim with an evil smile, ready to watch the destruction. The student team watches the scene in terror, afraid of what might happen. They panic upon seeing the creature approaching them with great speed and hatred. The princess is confused and wonders what had happened for the situation to change so quickly. She calls out her friend's name, worried he got caught in the blast. But the boy appears out of nowhere in front of her, stating that when it comes to speed, he doesn't lose to anyone. With a quick dagger strike, he slices the back of the creature's neck right on its weak point. He then turns around with a serious look and says that match was finally over. His friends run up to him relieved and ask if he was okay after the explosion. One of the girls asks him not to scare them like that again, looking like she's about to cry. Our hero smiles awkwardly and apologizes, saying he still needs to get much stronger. He then approaches the fox statue and grabs the red stone, completing the second checkpoint. With the mission accomplished, he tells his team it's time to move on to the next challenge. Far away, the other students are surprised to see on the map that Team Tiger is already at the third checkpoint. Teacher Evan grinds his teeth in anger and swears he will not let our hero win. With a purple energy sphere in his hand, he casts a mysterious spell to sabotage the race. He smiles wickedly, thinking that with that he has fulfilled his part of the deal with the rival. Meanwhile, the bullies team continues their journey through the labyrinth's library. Suddenly, they run into the two monsters that the other team had just defeated. Their leader is shocked and wonders why the creatures disappeared and reappeared there. His big friend says it doesn't matter and that they got lucky they don't have to fight. But before they leave, the rival with glasses shows up and calls their attention with a serious tone. He mocks them, saying they should at least say thanks since he's the one who erased the creatures for them. The bully is confused and asks what he means by erasing the monsters. The rival reveals he bribed teacher Ivan and made him an ally to rig the test. The team walks through a forest with a dense fog that barely lets them see. The protagonist warns that there should be a goddess statue right ahead for them to rest. At this, one of the teammates is surprised and asks how he knows about that statue. The young man gets nervous because he can't reveal he knows the information from his past life. Suddenly, one of the girls notices she lost her scarf somewhere along the way. At this, a flashback shows our hero giving his scarf to his beloved little sister. The old statue that was broken by the bullies keeps emitting a sinister energy. Meanwhile, the rival team finds the girl's scarf dropped on the forest floor. Their leader realizes the object belongs to our protagonist group and tells everyone to hurry. With a satisfied smile, the rival finally finds what he was looking for in the woods. It was a woodpecker marker that, according to the teacher's secret orders, pointed to the right route. With this, he tells his team to follow him, confident that victory is now certain. Far away, the bullies team watches everything hidden behind a tree with suspicion. Their leader realizes the rival is receiving info from someone to cheat. His brute friend gets angry and swears he's going to wipe the floor with that cheater. But his leader calms him down, saying the smart play is to use the coward to their advantage. With this, they decide to follow the rival team closely to take advantage of the cheating. At the same time, our hero's team reaches a dead end at the edge of a cliff. One of the members panics and asks why they ended up in a place like that. The boy who knows the mountains shows the compass to the leader with a look of shock. The object was going completely crazy and spinning non-stop, indicating the magnetic field went wild. The princess is shocked and asks if this means their route was wrong the whole time. Looking at the map more closely, they realize they were taking the completely wrong path. Our hero is confused because the magnetism was only supposed to go crazy past the goddess statue. He remembers that in his past life, his compass also went crazy near that location. The boy reflects that the magnetic field only got wild near the statue and wonders why it is happening now. With this, he finally realizes someone must have tampered with the racecourse on purpose. The princess approaches worriedly and asks what they should do in that situation. One of the boys points out that the sun is setting and they can't keep going in the dark. But the protagonist replies with a serious look that actually it's better if night falls. The princess gets confused and asks why he thinks the darkness would be an advantage. The leader smiles and says now they have Forno to guide them on the right path. He then points to the sky and asks his teammate to guide them using the constellations. The boy finally understands the plan and happily says he can handle the stars. The princess is impressed and wonders if her friend built the team already anticipating this problem. With renewed confidence, our hero yells that the race isn't over yet and that they will win. The teammate looks up at the sky and begins to reflect on the right direction to take. The pink-haired girl analyzes the map and says they can take a shortcut by heading south to the third point. At this, the young man agrees with the idea and observes a bright constellation shaped like a cross in the night sky. He points excitedly, explaining that it's the Southern Cross and its vertical line points exactly south. Our hero smiles proudly and thanks his friend, asking him to guide the team on the right path. After following the route, they finally reach the entrance of the third challenge, which has a stone statue in front. The sculpture shows the figure of an ancient hunter holding an animal skin next to a lit torch. Meanwhile, the rival team's leader celebrates holding a torch, stating they were the first ones to get there. Hidden in the shadows, the bully's leader watches everything with an evil smile, thanking the rival for showing the way. His big buddy laughs, saying the plan worked perfectly and suggests they move forward right away. But the troublemaker tells him to wait and orders them to pour water on the area's torches to make them completely useless. The brute understands the trap and comments with a smile that his friend would do anything to get in the protagonist's way. With a dark look, the red-haired leader shows he has no scruples when the goal is to guarantee victory. After sabotaging the items, they run off down the dark hallway, focused on overtaking the Glass's team at any cost. Shortly after, our hero's team approaches the labyrinth entrance following the right direction. The guide boy points forward, calling his friends to run as fast as possible and not lose time. The protagonist breathes relieved, commenting that thanks to their teammate they managed to make up the lost time in the forest. The princess watches the leader with curiosity, wondering if he already knew they could get lost right from the start of the test. She stares at the boys back in awe, thinking about how incredibly prepared he always manages to be. At this, they finally spot the large stone statue marking the start of the next stage of the massive test. The four students run together up to the monument, celebrating that they finally managed to get to the right place. But suddenly, the platinum-haired young lady notices something strange on the ground and calls everyone's attention with great concern. Looking down, they realize all the available torches were soaked and thrown on the ground on purpose. The star boy gets furious and punches the air, realizing some rival group did that to sabotage their test. Our leader analyzes the situation, thinking about whether to ask the princess to create flames but quickly discards that dangerous idea. With his fist glowing with magic energy, he confidently states that they have a much better alternative. The classmates stare at the dark and dangerous cave, commenting it would be impossible to proceed through that pitch black without any lighting. Then the hero raises his hand, asking them to trust him while electric blue light begins to appear in his palm. He activates a special ability and fires a bright sphere of light upwards, illuminating the entire path ahead. The young man smiles, reflecting that this useless magic from his past life finally found a perfect use in that place. The princess celebrates in relief seeing the place lit up, saying they can now move forward without needing torches. Holding the glowing sphere, the student calls his team so they won't waste any more time and can advance straight into the challenge. In another part of the labyrinth, the Glasses Boys team runs desperately through the dark corridors holding a torch. The cheating leader stops suddenly with an expression of shock upon recognizing the place they had just reached. They run into the exact same statue as before, realizing with intense anger that they took the wrong route for the fourth time in a row. The preppy guy screams in panic, wondering how they were supposed to cross that terrible place without getting lost all the time. He laments that even trying to advance through the correct areas, they ended up returning to the previous room in an endless loop. Right behind them, the bullies appear exhausted, realizing that place is a magic labyrinth-type dungeon. The big red-haired guy grinds his teeth, sweating cold, and wonders how they are going to find their way out of there. Meanwhile, our protagonist team examines a statue with the number 1, confirming that is the start of the course. The young lady notices there are 3 completely different corridors and wonders which one would be the right choice to move forward. The boy warns with a serious tone that they would never reach the end of that labyrinth if they didn't make their choices perfectly. He remembers his past life where his old team failed miserably at that exact same test and ended up being eliminated. But now, with all his future memories, the warrior thinks confidently that he knows the exact secret to master that dungeon. The leader then turns to his astronomer teammate, asking if that sculpture was based on the Orion constellation. The boy analyzes the stone figure and confirms the theory, explaining that it represents the famous giant of ancient mythology. He points his finger, drawing the stars imaginary in the air, and shares that this figure was known as a master hunter. With an excited smile, our hero says the time has come for his friend to shine once again with his vast knowledge. The protagonist points the way, telling them to follow the star route, leaving the princess very confused by the plan. The platinum-haired girl widens her eyes and deducts in shock that the great trick of the labyrinth involves astronomy. The young lady asks if he's serious, and the protagonist confirms, saying that only his friend could guide them to the exit. Analyzing the star map, the boy deduces that if the first area was in that exact starting position. Then he points to the stairs indicating the right route, and our hero orders the whole team to follow the new guide. At this, one of the classmates hugs his friend smiling and comments he is very happy to have him in their group. The two boys run up the stairs excitedly, while the princess watches everything from right behind with close attention. The girl reflects in shock, imagining if the leader had already unraveled the whole mystery even before assembling the team. With a confident smile and a glowing hand, the warrior states that together they will absolutely beat that challenge. A few hours pass, and the squad keeps advancing through the cave with the leader praising everyone's good progress. Upon reaching a spacious new room, they spot yet another ancient statue in the center of the dark place. The little guide points his finger forward and calls his friend's attention to what was there. It was monument number 8, confirming that this should be the last statue of the entire course. The other student notes there is only one path left and deduces the finish line is right up ahead. The two girls thank the young astronomer, stating they would never have made it this far without his great help. But the boy replies that the true savior was the protagonist, who managed to unravel the labyrinth's mysteries. At this, our hero notices something strange and asks the pink-haired girl what was going on. She then stares at the large stone statue, noticing a very peculiar detail on the figure's neck. The young lady spots a small golden key hanging on a chain and warns her friends about the mysterious item. Thinking the object would serve to open the cave's exit, she decides to take the key and carry it with them. The protagonist agrees with the idea and calls the whole group to finally leave that dark place together. Everyone agrees and starts walking down the final stone corridor, heading towards the end of the test. Suddenly, a scary monster leg appears on the ceiling, and the boy notices a strange noise coming from above. Further ahead, they find a large gate with an altar, revealing that there were still 3 stones left at the site. The young ones celebrate excitedly because those stones indicated their team was in first place in the race. The leader places his hand on the altar, relieved to have managed to overtake the cheaters and secure the lead. But when his teammate tries to pull the rings on the gate, he realizes in frustration that the exit wasn't budging at all. The princess approaches the obstacle and calls everyone's attention to an important detail on the large door. She finds a highly detailed lock surrounded by red jewels, proving they needed a key. The pink-haired girl holds the item she found earlier and suggests that should be the solution to open the door. She then puts the key in the lock, but the object won't turn, leaving her very confused by the situation. Her friend from the team also doesn't understand and questions if they ended up grabbing the wrong item at the statue. Our hero stares at the lock carefully and finally understands what the true trick of that puzzle was. But before he could explain, a sticky web drops from the ceiling and traps one of the students' feet. The boy lets out a scream of terror, and the two leaders look back totally shocked by the terrible surprise. Their teammate is pulled upward with great force, crying in despair and begging for help. The protagonist stares up with a terrified expression as he recognizes the deadly danger right there. A monstrous giant spider appears hanging from the webs, revealing itself to be an extremely dangerous magical beast. The other 2 team members scream their kidnapped friend's name, trembling with absolute fear. The princess prepares her magic and suggests they all attack together to take down the monster once and for all. But the leader shoots down the idea right away, warning that an area attack could end up hitting their friend. The young lady is left out of options and desperately asks what they should do to save the boy without hurting him. With a serious look, the young man remembers he had already faced that same terrible creature in his past life. A flashback shows the monster invading the army supply depot and causing massive chaos at the base. The hero recalls that back then, his old captain was the only one who knew exactly how to deal with that threat. The powerful commander warned that the monster had a weakness to light and ordered all the doors in the place to be opened. As soon as the brightness of the sun flooded the room, the creature of darkness was completely destroyed, proving the theory. Snapping back to reality, the student smiles confidently upon realizing he had the perfect solution to win. He warns that dawn is already breaking, and if they manage to open that large gate, the sun will defeat the spider. His teammate panics, remembering the exit was still locked and without the right key. The protagonist then looks at the pink-haired girl and says now it's her turn to shine, leaving her confused. The leader asks the young lady to use her skills to craft a key made of light capable of opening the grand door. At that moment, the young woman stares at the golden key in her hands, sweating cold and a bit hesitant about the huge responsibility. But soon she clenches her fist with determination, promising to try while the hero asserts that everyone trusts her. With a focused look, the pink-haired girl runs, pointing out that the glowing ore is right ahead. The princess watches this scene, reflecting if the leader brought the crafter specifically because he foresaw they would need something like this. She stares at the warrior's back in admiration, thinking he really is incredible in every possible way. Suddenly, the other teammate points to the ceiling in a panic, calling the protagonist and warning him of their friend's danger. The monster spider holds the little astronomer upside down, ready to end his life at any second. At this, the group leader widens his eyes and grinds his teeth with deep anger as he sees his companion being threatened. Meanwhile, the panning crafter holds the red sphere from the last statue, knowing that was the perfect item. She holds both objects, reflecting that if she merges the glowing jewel with the stone key, the plan might work. With focused red eyes, the girl is sure the combination will create a powerful key of light. High above, the captured boy begs for help while the sinister beast readies itself for the final strike. The protagonist doesn't waste time and quickly activates his special ability, creating a blue energy sphere. He then throws the glowing ball with all his might towards the creature, commanding it to take the attack. The intense light hits the dark monster head-on, and it recoils quickly because of the sudden bright flash. The boy celebrates in relief seeing the reaction, confirming the beast really fears any kind of lighting. But suddenly, the giant spider advances and grabs the glowing sphere with its dark claws, surprising everyone. The platinum-haired young lady points to the ceiling in despair, telling her teammates to look at the terrible scene. The magical beast begins to swallow the light energy with its scary mouth, making the attack's glow fade away. Our hero goes into shock and sweats cold upon realizing his strategy didn't work as he had planned.